The apple don't fall far from the tree. This is what I told you guys about how the white woman is the first teacher of anti-black racism and how these white males learn this culture. Now available. Paperback and Kindle Unlimited. ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with a beast from the boss in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event, paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about the racism that goes on in UFC and mixed martial arts. And he sent me a link to several videos where they were talking about the UFC's Conor McGregor, whose mother wore on a blackface costume for Halloween. Now, your Conor McGregor is featured in a photo with his family, and his mother is standing there dressed up like some sort of Haitian voodoo priestess and has a black face on as part of her costume. Now, this is quite disturbing because this woman would have been crucified had this image gone to mainstream media. However, I believe that there were people in the mainstream media who kept this image buried because they did not want to see popular UFC fighter Conor McGregor winding up getting canceled as a result of being in a photo with his mother, who was participating in open and blatant racism towards black people by being a white woman putting on blackface, which is and participating in a stereotype as related to black people participating in voodoo. So this whole image is extremely disturbing, but I find it interesting how your mainstream media can go out here and plaster images of Kyrie Irving around talking about how he's anti-Semitic, and all he did was post a link to Hebrews to Negroes, a documentary that has been on Amazon for over 5 years, and how your mainstream media can also go out here and plaster the face of Kanye West all over the media for his deliberate anti-Semitic statements, but the same mainstream media remains extremely silent when it comes down to popular UFC fighter Conor McGregor being featured in a photo with his family, with his mother, with her face painted up in blackface. I find it interesting that this photo isn't all over all of the sports networks like ESPN and all of these other networks that feature UFC programming. I find it interesting that nobody is out here talking about how we need to go out here and boycott your Conor McGregor for being in a photo with his racist mother. I find it interesting how most of these media outlets are just extremely silent as related to your Conor McGregor being openly racist, because only a racist is going to be out here featured in a photo with his mother wearing blackface. But the mainstream media, don't have a single word to say about that. Meanwhile, we've got photos every day talking about Kyrie Irving and a whole campaign to try to buck break your Kyrie Irving, but nobody's trying to break this Conor McGregor, who clearly shows me again that he's a racist, because if his mother is out here wearing blackface and he doesn't point out how it's wrong, there's something seriously wrong here, because you've got a white man whose mother is wearing blackface and he's smiling in the photo with his family and acting like nothing is absolutely wrong for Halloween. Now, this photo of Conor McGregor and his mother proves my point as related to your white woman being the first teacher of racism, and because your Conor McGregor basically learned how to be racist from his mother. Now, most black folks will think, oh, it's the white man who is the biggest racist in the room, but this picture basically proves that the white woman is the first racist, and it goes all the way back to the point that the late David Carroll talked about how a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women, and as the woman goes, so goes the race. And the direction that the mainstream media went in as related to the Conor McGregor story is quite troubling. You would think that the mainstream media, again, would be calling out this racist, but this goes under the radar because, again, when it comes down to anti-black racism and white people that white people like, they will go out of their way to protect that white person that they like by either just denying the information is out there or hiding the narrative or going out here and making a narrative where they try to justify it. And that's what happens here with this image of your Conor McGregor and his mother, where his mother is wearing blackface. Again, quite troubling as related to the UFC, and the UFC just showing me how much of a racist organization it is, and why it would just be better to not spend any money with watching UFC programming, which is something I don't do anyway because it's just absolutely garbage content. I mean, watching another man beat up another man or another woman beat up another woman is not my thing, and this just shows me the kind of low-life people who are a part of that organization. Now, in addition to your Conor McGregor being featured in a picture where he's got on blackface, we have another UFC or MMA fighter named Paulo Costa who was out here participating in blackface. And in this image, we have your Paulo Costa out here participating in blackface after making a racial slur. Now, he tries to justify making this racial slur by posting a picture of himself in blackface, and what we see with Paulo Costa also proves another point as related to these racist Hispanic racists. A lot of these Hispanics have a lot of them are racist, and they that's something that the mainstream media won't go out here and talk about. They won't sit here and talk about how there are these Hispanic racists out here, and these Hispanic racists, they also get a pass from your mainstream media, and they get that pass because, again, the white racists, they don't want that narrative out there. While they preach diversity, they give passes to those who practice anti-black racism, and that's what's happening here in your UFC with as related to Paulo Costa, yet another racist. But again, you won't hear a single word about this racist who just tries to justify a racial slur he used and then putting up a picture of himself in blackface, showing me that your UFC is a place where anti-black racism seems to be practiced every day. And what's really troubling is that instead of many of the black fighters out here speaking out about it, we get your bootlicks like your Israel Adesanya looking to give a pass to individuals like this, and then this individual wonders why he's having such a hard time in the UFC. Well, he's having such a hard time in the UFC because he's out here giving a pass to racists, the same racists who go out here and are hypocrites because they want to go out here and cancel Kyrie Irving, all because he shared a link to a documentary. They want to go out here and cancel a Kyrie Irving, but they want to give a pass to your two of your racists, like your Paulo Costa and your Conor McGregor, and they want to do this because, again, when it comes down to those white and Hispanic people they give them a pass to participate in anti-black racism, and they give them that pass because they want to be able to make money off these individuals, and because they want to make money off of those individuals, they feel like, okay, we've got to find a way to spin their racism, we've got to find a way to hide their racism. But when it comes down to organizations like the UFC and MMA in general, if they're out here being disrespectful towards black people, then we need to stand up and, one, call these individuals out, and then what we need to do is control our dollar, because when it comes down to organizations like this, if they have open racists as part of their league, then we need to go out here and stop spending money with the UFC and MMA, because if they don't respect black people, then we need to stop spending our black dollars with them. And if they want to have bootlicks go out here and work for them, like Israel Adesanya, then we need to just go out here and leave those bootlicks to the tender mercies of the white supremacists there. Because if these organizations don't want to go out here and give us our respect, then we need to take ourselves away from these organizations, because these organizations clearly show us that they really don't respect the black people. They don't respect black dollars, and if they don't respect us, we don't need to be a part of them. And since the UFC is showing me that it's an organization that's all about anti-black racism and supporting and protecting anti-black racists, the only thing I want to do is call it out so people can know about it. And then once we know about it, we walk away from that organization and we leave, again, whatever bootlicks work for them to the tender mercies of those white supremacists, because these people don't really want, again, a black champion. They don't want to see black excellence, because they know if black people were to come into that sport, they would dominate that sport. So what they want to do is, because these guys feel inferior, again, they come into the UFC because they can't really box, they can't do really martial arts and compete in those places based on merit. So they come to the UFC because these inferior people, they come to these organizations because it's the only place they can feel superior. And they don't like the idea of black competitors because they fear when black competitors come into the sport, they fear that black competitors will come in and dominate that sport the same way black people have dominated baseball back in the day, the way they dominate basketball right now, the way they dominate football. This is what many of these UFC fighters fear, and they also fear the fact that we dominated boxing for over 60 years, and that's the reason why they create spaces like MMA, because when there were black boxers dominating the sport, like the late Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and many others, many of these same white fighters and Hispanic fighters and Asian, they know they can't compete with black boxers. They know they can't compete in some sports with even black martial artists, and what they want to do is go to have their little safe space where they can feel superior, and in that safe space they feel safe enough to go out here and participate in their anti-black racism. And that's what your MMA is all about, as I see it, because you have people openly participating in racism and they're not punished at all. No, the mainstream media buries this story. Meanwhile, they've got your Kyrie Irving out as the ultimate villain and making him out to be an anti-Semitic when he wasn't. And then me all the while giving a pass to the open anti-black racism that is a major part of your mixed martial arts right now. Now, this is a video that one of my viewers wanted me to talk about, and he requested that I make this video. And if you want to request a video, you can donate to my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you want to pick up my book, which is about the mixed martial arts, ISIS: The Ultimate Fight, you can pick up that book on Amazon.com along with the other two books in the Nemesis storyline, ISIS: Power of the Princess and ISIS: The Main Event, which is a tribute to pro wrestling. All three of those books are available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find ISIS: The Ultimate Fight, Power of the Princess, and ISIS: The Main Event on other online bookstores all across the World Wide Web. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today.